Okay, good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning, Maddy.
This is episode 5 很快哦。
I know, right? How did we get here?
I don't know. Just before recording starts, we were saying that each time we start, we still feel anxious.
we still. I mean, it's like I was saying. It's a bit like you're performing on stage, right? Like, I mean, even though you have memorized your lines, you know things are where they're supposed to be and all that, but you still have that little bit of that butterfly feeling.
Yeah.
A bit of like 有点 nervous, 有点 excited, 有点兴奋，有点要 start 的感觉。It's good. It means this is still keeping us on our toes.
And this feeling butterflies is what makes us feel alive.
Yes.
And then we move forward.
Of course, makes us feel human.
Yes. And today,
Okay.
what are we going to talk about?
So today's episode 5, and the name of this episode is Welcome to the 40s.
What's so great about 40s? How come we are so proud of it? I hope we are not 好脸 but
No, it's not. I think it's like 很多年累积下来的 like 这种精华没有 You want to talk about?
这个是累积 This is aging, right? This is like wine aging, maturing, 酝酿
and I think it's always like that. I always feel that at any point in time in my life, I always feel that it's the best years of my life. At any point in time. Yeah, I think some people have the mentality that the best years of my life are behind me, they're past. But I always feel that the best years of my life is now.
So I think this is a good point. So for and I think it's normal for many who think that my best years are over. And if you have that thought, stay with that thought, right? Also think about how come you feel that the best years are behind you. Then how do you then make the current year the best one, like how both of us are feeling it?
Exactly. How do you make the best of what you have right now, or wherever you are in your life stage? Yeah, and I think that's what we really want to talk about, because I think a lot of people think that the 40s, like what you were saying just now, Mandy. Come tell us what a lot of people think about what the 40s is about.
Exactly. So when I was preparing for this episode, my first paragraph is my perception of 40s when I'm in my 20s.
When you were in your 20s.
Yeah, when I'm
what
young,
you thought about
like
40s.
maybe when I was still studying or what. Okay, my idea was like, okay, in my mind that time was like, okay, perhaps at 28 years old, it was the time where I'm going to get married and I'm going to have children. That kind of perception, right? And I'm always thinking that, because 40 is such a big number, it's a number that when I'm in my 20s, I think that, I don't want to become 40s.
很远, right? 40s 很远, very far away.
Yeah, very
right?
far away. It's like unimaginable. I don't even want to be there. It's very fearful, this number. And I was thinking, my perception of people in their 40s are that they are tired, they are haggard, they are probably not looking good, they're probably like out of shape
Probably
physically.
got tummy.
Yeah,
a lot of lines on the face.
Exactly.
Very eye bag.
Yeah, it's a very ugly sight that is in my mind, and that I definitely don't want to be there.
Okay.
This was my perception then. Now, what about you? Did you have a think about how 40s was like when you were young?
I definitely did not think how 40s would be like. I don't think that far ahead. But I do think that when I think about someone, let's say above 40s, it's a very similar idea, right? That I think 40s is like, you pass the golden years of your life. Downhill 了下山了没有 retire 了 one step in the grave 了 But if you think about it, I haven't done my research, but what do you think is the average age of a Singaporean male or female in Singapore?
You mean life expectancy?
Life expectancy, yeah.
I know women is a few more years ahead of men.
Correct. So women live a bit longer.
I think it's 70 plus,
70 plus.
Yeah.
So let's say round it up to 80
Yes.
So do you not realize that if you, let's say, the average expectancy is late 70s to 80, and we are in our 40s, we are at the early stage of 40s, we are at the halfway mark.
Yeah, we are more than halfway already
我们走到一半了 We're at the halfway mark 了 leh.
Wow, I've never thought about it this way.
Yeah, we're at the halfway mark.
What a journey.
I know, what a journey. Which is why I think it is very important for us to pause in this episode to talk about the 40s, because I think it is an important milestone. And I think there's a lot to learn and to reflect and to share about what we've learned so far. But yet there's also the second half of our life to look forward to.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very exciting.
I like it a lot that you mentioned about pausing, because we're always in this modern Singapore, if this is where you are listening in from, we're so fast-paced.
Yep.
Rush, cosmopolitan. We have so many things to do. We have so many countries to go. We have so many
Endless
things to do.
errands,
And I think
endless list of things you have to do. Yes,
endless,
you're right.
and I think pausing has to be a very purposeful action. And I think in this episode, we are hoping to invite you to pause.
Yes.
Think about where you are right now, whether you're 40 or 50 or
That's
30,
right.
and then
Yes.
just acknowledge and then do this reflection of what you had, what went well,
Yep.
what could have been done better, but then just acknowledge first, right? Pause
Yes.
first, pause.
Exactly. And accept your journey for what it is. And remember last episode I talked about be gentle on yourself. Yeah. So let's be gentle on ourselves, right? As we reflect on our 40s, and then at the same time, let's really look forward to what's ahead. Yeah. So I think this is going to be a very fun and interesting episode.
Yeah, exactly. And think about that, if you are in the 40s like us, perhaps you've already walked more than halfway of your life. And then think about how then you want to, what kind of quality of life do you want for the rest of the years until 70 or 80? I think with this intention, perhaps some of the things that you are doing now, some of the habits that you have may change. Maybe. For the better, hopefully.
Yeah. So to this podcast, we really want to, we want to inspire those, who's in our 40s, right? To really rethink about, how you're living your life. And then I think the other point is to really demystify, right? What is life is, how is life like in their 40s? I think maybe a lot of people who are in their 20s right now listening to us like, 这个 uncle auntie 在讲什么？ Life in the 40s.
No. I don't think that they'll be like, how can it be Jeremy and Maddy in the 40s? They sound so energetic.
I know, right? I still get a compliment. Hey, Jeremy, you don't look in the 40s. Thank you.
Yeah, I know, right?
我保养得很好。very important. 保养 and maintenance 很重要。
是。
So we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So demystifying the same. This is
Demystifying
also
also.
one of our objectives of today's episode.
Yes, exactly.
Where shall we start?
We should start with
20岁。
20岁 OK 了，来我们就 go according to timeline.
So I think we have both
timeline.
prepared separately for the podcast. Jeremy has his notes. So this is a bit of behind the scenes. Jeremy
Yes.
has his notes prepared and I have my
Yes.
notes prepared. And then we'll come together about an hour prior to this recording to kind
That's
of
right.
share a little bit about what we prepared.
Correct.
But we still don't know a lot about the things that we are going to talk about. But
Yes.
then we are going to go with the flow right now.
Yeah, because we go through okay. So this is obviously part of our creative process, right?
I like it, creative process.
Right, 我们的
So
creative process.
atas.
对了，
Yeah,
这是我们的 creative
process,
process.
是。
我们有 process 的 ，OK。
对，而且我们有 creativity 的。
我们有 creativity for sure, and I think we also agree that we like to keep the conversation very real, so we don't want it to be too rehearsed, right? Because like if you write every single point down, it feels like we're just kind of go through every single point, and I don't think that's the vibe we want to give. We want to make sure that it's still conversation. We're still like, wow, did you just say that? Or wow, did you just share that? I think there's still a lot of things that we're learning about each other. So I think that keeps it fun and interesting for us as well.
Yes.
Right?
And I want to also kind of affirm both of our efforts in preparing. I mean, the way Jeremy put it is like, 很像没什么, but the truth is, and I want all of our listeners to know that we put in quite a bit of time and effort and a lot of love in preparing for these, because this is really for us as well, because we're enjoying so much the process, but it's really for you who's listening out there to hopefully get something out of whatever that we want to share. It's really for you.
I think we both agree that this is part of our journey. Yeah, but so as much it is as much as it is for ourselves to grow in our journey, it is also very much for us to share to the wider audience, right? On how your lives can improve or how we can make an impact, to the wider.
We just want to make an
community.
impact.
Yeah,
Just
we
like
just make an
hopefully
impact.
you can.
Exactly.
You have the power to also make an impact.
Yes.
Just like how we are doing it, having fun lah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. 来 20s， 我们 start in 20s. 为什么 start 20s 啊？ Why cannot go younger 啊？
因为 20s 开始赚钱了嘛。
也是啦。That's kind of like you're entering into adulthood.
Yeah.
And younger 就是学生。
Yeah, I'm relying
and all
on my
that.
parents' money.
对
Then I got
对
to
对
like my decisions are also like wishy-washy, that kind of thing.
That's just the adolescence year lah.
Yes,
So
so
maybe
adulthood lah. I would say adulthood, right?
Correct. That's like the early stage of adulthood.
Adulthood is where legally we have the power to do a lot of things,
Yes,
right? We can learn driving, we can gamble, we can go to
drink
clubs.
alcohol, yes.
Yeah. So that's where we really start to own the life in our hands. Take
Agree.
ownership lah, huh? Can I say that?
Agree. Yes.
Okay, so in my 20s, right, my life was like marshmallows. So when I was
Interesting analogy. 你的 20s 是 marshmallow.
marshmallow 来的是 marshmallow 来的。
软绵绵的，甜甜
对
的。
，so and it's interesting because I marshmallows is not something I take at all. But I don't know why when I was writing about my life in the 20s, I kind of this marshmallow came up in my mind. This picture of the 一粒粒白白滑滑粉粉很甜黏黏的东西 just
Okay.
happen. I mean, turn up in my journaling. So I think my life in my 20s was a lot of holding on, a lot of things happening, a lot of energy. There's a lot of friendships and relationships, and then there's a lot of people pleasing, a lot of saying what others would like to hear, not saying what is on my mind, and because it's marshmallows, right? There's a nice side of it. It's so wonderful, so pure, so sweet. But at the flip side of the 20s, perhaps this is more to the late 20s lah. It's like the more you eat the marshmallow, the sicker you feel. It's like too much. It's too much of sweetness, too much of softness, too artificial.
And you don't know how. I think it's a good analogy because sometimes you overeat and you also don't know how to control.
对
That seems to be the age where you're like, oh, just enjoying everything, right? Enjoying all the marshmallows.
Yeah.
Until a point, but you don't know when is the time to like stop eating the marshmallow because it's so good and it's sweet, and I can afford to continue eating more marshmallows, right?
And I think it only come up to a point where you realize that, well, it's too much when your body starts to show signs of it.
I think
like,
so.
It may not be the physical body, right? Maybe just like, wow, how come I'm not having great connections? How come I, in my mind, it's like I have so many failed relationships, so many relationships, one after another, or like falling for the wrong people, blah, 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 blah. That was kind of my 20s.
So like 20s is a bit like 有点放纵，对不对？
放纵放肆，
哇，很多放啊 ，OK， yeah. So it's like we are, 有点放纵，放肆。It's like a life where you're living a bit more carefree, right?
Carefree.
Throw caution to the wind.
Yeah,
just enjoy
you don't think
life.
so much. It's very unintentional.
Yeah,
actually.
very intentional. Enjoy
Right.
life. But at the same time, I also feel that there is that purpose of the 20s, right? There is that part of the youth where you just need to do all that.
That's the beauty of it.
That's the beauty of it. Because that's life, right? Like we cannot enjoy the 30s and 40s without going through and enjoying what we have in the 20s.
Yeah.
Which is abundance of energy, abundance of collagen on the face, abundance of youth, abundance of just excitement and just buzz in the air.
Totally true.
Totally, like you just need to go out and meet people and make connections. So I agree, and I think it's all that. But then at the same time, at the same time, it is also the life stage where you're also beginning to build a career.
Yeah.
Right? You are getting into your corporate job, you're beginning to taste the importance of having money in your hands.
And speak to all sorts of people other than friends and teachers and classmates. You're going to talk to you're in the real world.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. And emotionally, I also feel that is a time when you're figuring yourself out. Yeah, I think you're not quite sure about who you are.
How was your 20s like? Was it like this? How is this figuring out for you in your 20s?
I think 20s for me was a lot about just discovering about myself. And we were just talking about
that is very good, right? Discovering.
But not very intentional. I think the discovering came a lot more intentional, which we'll talk about in the 40s and all that, 30s, 40s. But in the 20s, it was a lot of just try and error. I think the best way to describe it is just a try and error. Just go out there and just do.
Just go and do.
Just go and enjoy. See what you like, what you don't like. Go and date, right? Go and know people. See what you vibe with, what you don't vibe with. It's just a lot of that. But
it's
it was
a lot
very
of going with the
unintentional.
flow, right? Actually quite.
Correct. Go with the flow lah, because only in your 20s, your friend can ping you, hey, 9:30 already, want to go on? Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Would you ever do that now? No leh. 9:30 I'm in my pajamas.
We wouldn't make. I mean, but I think now that you say, there's really this beauty about just going the flow, right?
Yeah.
Somehow that part of it is also important to retain.
Of course.
In our 40s.
Yeah.
Just doing whatever we feel.
Yes.
But with intention. But okay.
Yes. So there's a little bit of that. Yeah. But I think 20s is really a lot about the whole figuring yourself out, not quite getting there, but just enjoying life in general. Yeah, really, really enjoying life and enjoying life's experiences and what life has to offer in general.
So what is a life in the 20s that's not working? Any big lessons from the 20s?
When I think about my 20s, it's a little bit different. So remember how I talked about me kind of building a second career, and I was doing MC and all that. So I think in my 20s, I was quite involved in church at the time.
Yep.
So my weekends were actually really, really packed. So my typical weekend in my 20s, you won't believe it. It was either I'm involved in a theatre production, which I told you before, and I'll be rehearsing from say like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. If not, I'll be involved in like church and we have services or like cell groups or connect groups, and I'll be learning to play the guitar or whatever. If not, I will be hosting an event like a family day event or
你很 productive 嘞 in the 20s. You know when I hear you 我觉得我是个很 lousy 我的 20s.
No,
I'm just wasting my parents'
No,
time.
you shouldn't feel that way. But yeah, my 20s was a little bit different. And I'm very aware how different it is. Because whenever my friends ask me out, I remember 我每次没有空的. Because I was either in church, or I was rehearsing, or I was in an event. But all these things brought me a lot of energy. Yeah. And I think it was something that I think if I look back, probably kind of, also define who I will be later on in life. Because without all of these experiences that I accumulated early in 20s, I may not be able to do some of the things I'm doing right now.
Wow, interesting. Your life starts early.
Yeah, a little bit earlier.
Yeah, but it's great. I mean, that's where you are taking all these learnings and, putting in all the hard work in all your rehearsals. Then that gets to where you are, right, today.
Yes.
My weekends are totally just 睡觉, nua, whole day.
Wow.
I'm a complete 360-degree different in my 20s than now.
Oh my gosh.
Not like I'm the proudest, but then that also made me who I am today. But I'm nowhere intentional like how I am today.
Okay, very good.
30岁
好 so 20s 是甜甜蜜蜜的 very fun
marshmallows for me. And then how would you if like, so for me I used marshmallow to describe my 20s. How would you, in 1 or 2 words,
talk about my 20s?
describing how 20s was for you?
20s was pushing forward. Yeah, like I just feel that at that point of time I just need to always be productive. Yeah, like I always need to fill my calendar 满满的. Like cannot squeeze anything in between, right? Like I need to like pack my calendar until like it's I have no gaps in between, and then I'll feel so fulfilled and so productive at the end of the day.
Wow. So Jeremy used the word productive for his 20s, and for me it's marshmallow. How different.
Look
at how different we are. And then we're doing this thing together. Oh, 还是很 amazing.
Okay,
30s. So my 30s is like your 20s. And I think 30s for me was already, I started to become a mother at 30, gave birth and all this kind of thing, like adult, like the real adulting, right? And then I think for me in the 30s is really like 20s was cruise mode.
A little bit,
cruise
yeah,
mode.
exactly.
30s was a
Everything
climb,
works.
was a steep climb for me. And the thing is, because you're like somewhere halfway on a cliff, right? You cannot go stand back because you're not yet kind of reached your destination.
Yes.
And then there's only one way forward. It's just keep going. Then suddenly the scenery start to change. The climb starts to get a little bit more manageable. The scenery becomes a bit more beautiful. There's a little bit more light, that you see. And then it becomes a little bit better.
So maybe firstly, what did you feel like you had to let go as you enter your late 30s?
Wow.
And then how did that letting go come about?
Good question. I think this letting go, mid-30s is the time where for me, I realized that I didn't like the way I was feeling. I was lethargic. I wasn't doing any exercise consistently. So no physical activity, food and nutrition is just merely for me to survive the day.
Got it.
So it was a point in time where I realized that, wow, I kind of start to decide, hey, is this really how I want to feel? Is this how I want to spend my day? Just hustling through the day's work, taking care of the children. So what is it that I really want for myself? So I think this letting go for me at mid-40s is really about letting go of certain, say, worries about the children.
Okay.
Certain,
it's your 30s, right? Your
yes,
mid-30s.
my mid-30s. Because in
Okay.
order to find that pocket of time that I can invest into exercising, I have to sacrifice a bit of time that I have put in elsewhere into myself.
Exactly.
And in that journey of taking care of myself, I choose to let go that responsibility to my husband. Letting go and trusting that he has his own ways of managing the children without me.
Okay.
And that letting go allows me to go on holidays with my girlfriends. So that's also for me, that letting go. And then realizing that, actually when I'm enjoying with my girlfriends on a holiday, he is able to take care of the kids there. It's not as bad as I imagined. Because a lot of, I think...
It's not as bad as I imagined. The house didn't burn down. The house is still intact.
And I can tell you this is real. In the minds of, I believe many mothers, they have this fear of letting go of the whole of their children to their spouses. And not that the spouses are not able to do it, okay?
Yeah.
I really see it as both ways. It's
sure.
that the mother ourselves, we are not able to let go, so then they cannot try, they cannot learn, and they will forever hold on to this thing to ourselves and then get our mental mental energy all used up.
Exactly.
是我们的问题。
Exactly.
妈妈们，你们要 let go 了。Okay, your husband can do the same thing to take care, just not in your way, but they can do it too.
Yeah, and maybe to add to the point, like you need to also be okay that they may not do things the exact way that you do it.
It will never be. It will never be.
And you got to be okay with that.
You got to be okay
You got to
with
let
that.
go of your
Let
expectation
go.
of how certain things need to be done, and you need to be okay with
Yeah,
that.
end of the day, think about objective. We just want the children to be fed, have sleep, go to school. 就是这样而已, okay? Yeah.
Totally.
But thanks for asking the question. I didn't think about it.
you know how, so this is how I tell my friends, okay? I always tell them, I said, very simple. If you want to have, get rid of the kids for one day, right? So I bring them to my house. All I'll do is lock them out in the room, let them watch Disney Plus, whatever. Yeah. Every 4 hours, I'll push in or shove in the tray of McDonald's.
Oh, fantastic!
That's all I'll do. They'll be fine. They'll be well fed. They have time to go toilet and they will eat and all, and they'll be the happiest kids on earth.
And you will have a life outside. You get to choose.
You have a life
get to
outside.
decide.
Yes. Yep.
So this is letting go and climb.
This is letting go,
for me.
exactly. So opening up my services for
you-
for taking care of your kids, okay? We can discuss
Don't
about
say
the
too
rates per
early. 等
day.
下很多 mothers 来 contact me. Try it with your own caretakers and your husbands first.
Yeah.
So how's the 30s like for you, Jeremy? How would you describe it?
So 30s were, I think, similar to you. I think 30s for me was about kind of getting a bit more traction in a career.
Traction, okay.
Traction in a career, building career a little bit more. Also kind of, again, just the journey of emotional maturity, finding myself a little bit more. And I think 30s is for me is the age where, or the stage where you start figuring it out, like what you like, what you don't like, what you can stand, what you don't, what you cannot stand, what is a deal breaker.
Okay, very curious now. So,
Yeah.
so what is it that you cannot stand in the 30s?
So
So
I
it's
think-
quite strong, right? Cannot stand like one thing. Cannot take it.
Yeah. And I think I will talk about it like from a few aspects, right? Like when it comes to, for example, when it comes to work, when it comes to the 30s, I realize that I just cannot work with people who got their turf.
Oh, for example,
Meaning
yeah.
like 这个是我的范围, this is my area.
This is not my job.
This is not
that
my
is
job.
my-
That's your job. And well, I get it, right? I get that all of us have our own roles and responsibility.
Yeah.
I just hate it when some people kind of tell me, "I'm sorry, this is not my job. This is not what I'm supposed to do." Like in a very non-collaborative way.
Right.
Because to me, it's like, hey, we're all in the same boat, right? We're all trying to make things work. We're all cogs in the system.
Right.
We're all wheels, and we're trying to make things work. But if you refuse to make it work, or you just always say, "Oh, this is what I do," it's my big pain point. Like I just get so irritated. I get triggered every time I hear that. I get so triggered.
So when people say that, Jeremy, I don't know how to do this, is not my job, then how do you deal with it?
I think I'll sit down and think through, like maybe so maybe my first response is my request unreasonable? Did I request something that is not within not within scope, not within reason?
So you question yourself.
Yeah, our first question, then I go like, wait a minute, but if it's not, then I'll go and say like, hey, can we talk about how to make this work? I mean, it's very simple. To me, work is very simple in a sense where we're all here, we're all earning a salary. 打工的，全部打工的。You are paid a salary employee. I'm a salary employee. We just want to make things work, get our job done in the company or wherever you're working in. And then go back to wherever your loved ones are, and then spend money, and then spend time with.
Unfortunately,
people
not
who
everybody thinks it this way.
I know,
right?
but I
also
mean,
the company's culture.
It is. But if you distill it down to
values,
the values and
values.
the very essence of why you're there for work, I don't have to be best friends with you. I'm here to work in a job, and everybody is just here, and everybody has their own family and all that.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure that we spend, I want to say as little time as possible. We spend whatever time we need to get things done, and then that's it. Don't make life difficult for others.
But it's interesting, right? Because when you say about this is the essence of why we do a job, but then the meaning and the values and why people show up at work is so different.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
it
then-
is true, and you cannot force.
Yeah.
You cannot force how people show up at work. Yeah, but I think this is where in your 30s you start realizing, hey, if this is not working for me, I'll walk away. Yeah, either I'll walk away.
Walking
or
away is art.
It's an art, like how you say about
Letting go.
letting go. Yeah. So you drop certain expectations on some people. You give less shit
Yeah.
about certain things because like what you said, you can't hold everything on your back. It's impossible. If you enter into your 30s and you're later on in life you have everything on your back. This is why people have so much baggage. Think about it.
So
If you cannot let go, you
yeah.
have all this baggage on the back. That's why you cannot let go.
So how is letting go like? So like in this case, for people that you cannot stand, and for you in this case, it's non-collaborative workers.
Yeah.
And I think for every one of us, we would definitely have this particular group of people or situation that is just annoying us so much.
Yeah.
Okay, it can be children, it can be like anything, or it can be somebody in the wet market or
Yeah.
whatever. Then how do we intentionally, I mean, like, based on your experience in your 30s when you're kind of understanding yourself more,
Yes.
how do you then let go of this baggage? Like, let go, it's just two words. It's very easy to say, but really, how do we practice it? That we can tell our listeners that they can take away and apply it.
Good point. And that's exactly where that's leading me to this thing about emotional awareness or self-awareness. It's about learning to let go of your expectations of others. Because I realize that a lot of times what is holding us captive, right, to our own thoughts is the fact that we feel that, hey, this person is expected to do this. I expect my partner to do this. I expect my co-workers, my teammates to do this.
Yeah.
I expect somebody else to do that. But we don't realize a lot of times it's our own expectations. So what happens is, if I cannot change my environment, what can I do? I can change cannot change my environment. I can change what's happening within me. I can change the inner voices. I can change myself. So how I deal with that is I begin to adjust my expectations.
I'm just thinking, I think this is a very good point. This is when you say about bringing awareness to your own expectations. Because I think many have certain, and it's okay to have expectations,
Yes,
right?
it is.
We live
Perfectly
by
fine.
certain expectations. But perhaps for some, they may not even know that they have these expectations that they are holding on so tightly. Because in order to let go of certain things, they have to know that they have these expectations first.
Correct.
Right? So I think perhaps the first step is be aware of
Yes.
what's going on for you in your mind. Why are you
Exactly.
holding on? Ask yourself, how am I feeling? I'm feeling angry.
Yeah.
Then ask yourself why. Why am I feeling angry? I think, keep
Yeah.
asking yourself why until you don't have the answer anymore.
I mean, it's practice, being able to identify how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I also think it's about the emotional maturity.
Yeah.
Which hopefully you get in your 30s.
Yeah.
Because I think at 30s is
That climb,
right? And the stage where, again, you will have a deeper awareness of who you are. And then therefore, how you relate to the world around you.
Right.
Yeah. But don't get me wrong, I don't think, I mean, it is a stage where I think you should be experiencing that. But I also realize that some people don't get to do that. Or rather, maybe they don't go through that phase. And I think then the problem arises later on in life.
Where they're still in the marshmallow stage at 30, some 还在吃.
or you may not develop that sense of deep self-awareness.
Right. And either maybe I don't know why it would happen, but either their life situation don't allow them that, or perhaps they choose not to acknowledge that, hey, this is time for me to kind of reevaluate. This is time for me to realize that this is not working out.
Yeah. And I think the whole idea of self-awareness or so knowing yourself, knowing identity, self-awareness, it's not like, I mean, honestly, we go through a lot of courses, and sometimes they teach us, right, like how is it to be self-aware and all that. But until you take time off and you're deliberate about your intention, that self-awareness will honestly never come. A lot of this self-awareness happens in the darkest hours in our night, right? It happens to us when we are lying on bed and we're thinking, what happened to me today? How did I react? Why am I like that? Don't you realize all these moments of self-awareness, self-reflection, it's not like somebody to tell you. Well, sometimes they do, but I think most of the time
it's the question that you ask yourself.
Yeah, most of the times we are sitting alone with
Yeah.
our own thoughts, our own questions, and we're going like, I mean, and that's all kind of going through and understanding and knowing yourself because you spend time thinking about who you are as a person.
And I'll never forget that transformation for me. And I think I shared it in episode 2, that awareness moment that changed who I am to become this version of me today is that mirror reflection, remember?
Yes,
that
I
mirror
remember
reflection where I look at myself and say, I hate looking this way, I don't like to feel this way, and tomorrow I'm going to change this.
Yes.
That was that moment. And like what you said, I think it would mostly be just you yourself alone, lying on bed or in the morning. What is the thing that you are complaining to yourself about? That is the best. That could be the opportunity for you to do this awareness. Next time you're talking to yourself, catch it and then continue that conversation, and then have an intention, have an objective, or have something that comes out of it. Have a plan.
I think I think that's pretty much sums up what it's like
in the
your
30s.
30s in a way. Yeah, just coming a bit more into who you are as a person. I feel
it's not an easy stage, huh? Like I think both of us 30 seems to be quite a
tumultuous.
yeah. Okay, I don't know what is that word.
Yeah, although it's like 风风雨雨啦，
是还蛮艰难的哦。
a bit of 风风雨雨 Yes.
Okay, so we talk about 40s already, right? The
30s
that
already.
we are in.
So now we're going to talk about 40s.
Okay, so for me, when I wrote about my 40s,
where we are right now, the 40s, ladies and gentlemen.
In my 40s, I liken it to like trekking down a mountain right now.
Okay,
like,
so you feel that you've passed that peak and you're slowly coming down.
I feel that it's a maybe not like physically climbing down, but it's more of because of like a trekking down movement. That it requires a lot of careful, calibrated steps. Because walking down is not any easier than walking up.
Yeah.
In fact, it can be harder, like physically and things like that. So in order to walk down, there's a lot of intention and calibration that needs to be taken.
Yes. And it's interesting you mentioned that. Okay, so let me share a little story for you when you talk about that climbing the mountain. So I, years ago I was in New Zealand, and then we had a trip. And we did a hike up Mount Tongariro Road.
Is it the one where you wear singlet or something? Or 穿不够冷衣
是那个 story. It's the one that we were totally unprepared for. Like we didn't know how intense that climb could be until we reached the mountain, the top of the peak of the mountain. We were like, wow, I got snow one. Why so cool? And then when we were climbing up that, just the last part, there were these metal ropes that was etched into the side of the cliff, and we're actually holding on to the metal rope and climbing up the last stretch. And then I was wearing Adidas shoes, sneakers. I was wearing Adidas sneakers, and I was just wearing like some jacket and some windbreaker or something, and we're totally not prepared for it. Anyway, what I wanted to say was the point after you go over the top of the peak, and you come down. You're right. Coming down was damn painful for the knees. It was extremely exhausting, hard, quite difficult. But at the same time, you also had to take time to go like, okay, to really enjoy what you see, because as you start coming down, it's so you enjoy that really amazing scenery at the top.
Pause first. Yes,
pause.
I forgot about pause.
Yeah, but you're also kind of enjoying that. But as you go down, you're slowly making your way down. You begin to see that that scenery is really, really amazing. You have more clarity about your journey. And at the same time, I think what also happens is you start being more curated about what you want to do. Every step that you take is a bit more curated. Because before that, you're climbing up and every effort was spent, or all the energy was spent on just putting one step, just pushing on, one foot in front of the other, just chong and chong and chong. But once you reach the top, you pause, you take a deep breath, and you go, wow, this is amazing. And then as you make your way down, you start reflecting and you go like, okay, this is amazing. I'm going to start enjoying the journey. I think where I want to go to is once you start seeing that scenery at the top and then start slowly going down, you're really enjoying the scenery. It's a little bit less about trying. It's a bit more about curating and enjoying the journey.
Means you really have to purposefully set that objective to enjoy. Like enjoyment comes planned.
Yes.
Something like that, right?
Yeah. And what I'm saying also is it's a bit different because you realize that, after all the effort of climbing the top of the mountain, I mean, you've done all that, which is great, right? So you reach a certain level of success in your life. And then now is the time to go like, okay, I'm still going forward. I still need to put in effort. But the climbing down the mountain is, there's a bit of energy. I mean, there's a bit of effort in that, right? Probably not as strong as the beginning. But this is a time where you start being a bit more choice about what you want to do. And you start enjoying the journey a little bit more.
So how do we, share this with our listeners? Because I think many in the 40s, if you're a typical local Singaporean, you will be probably already having some 15, 20 years in your career.
Yes,
you have probably your children. If you have children, they are of like, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years old.
Yeah.
Like, because for us now in our 40s, I've never felt even better. This is the best time
alive
that I feel so alive, so purposeful, so fun. Because in case you're wondering like, wow, this choiceful, curated, intentional, is that 累这样? But no, in fact, this is the best time that we have ever felt. So how do we share, what some of the practices that we're doing that is making us feeling so good about being 40s? It's nothing like how I was perceiving it when I was 20s.
But I do want to say, I think it's very, very important when it comes to the 40s. I think in the ideal scenario, you should be financially be able to take care of yourself. I think it's very, very important. I don't think we talk about that enough because I do realize that if I have not spent my 20s and my 30s building my nest, and again, I'm not talking about bungalows and having a yacht and flying first class. I mean, all that's great, if you have it. I mean, great for you. I'm really happy for you. But I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the ability to take care of yourself, good financial planning, and all of that. So things are sorted out.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Before you can start thinking about enjoying your 40s and doing different things, doing podcasts, for example, spending time with girlfriends, going on trips. So all these are great stuff to focus on yourself, but you need to take care of your finances first.
I think this finances one is really so true, and you are right that we are not talking about it enough. And I think even before you get kanchiong and think that, oh no, how much should I have when I retire? I need to make X amount of money. But I think it's really evaluating your relationship with how you see money, right? Because for some, they can have this amount of money and they feel super contented and happy and rich. But for some, they may have a lot of money, like millions, billions.
And it's never enough.
But it's never enough. So it's really about
never
evaluating your relationship with money. And if I may direct you, because there's one episode that Lito did is really good. It's about your relationship with money. I don't know episode what lah ho. I'm going to find out what episode and then I'm going to put it
in
into
the
the
footnotes.
show notes.
Show notes.
So go and listen to the episode by the Lito podcast on money, because there is really an in-depth questions where Danny will invite you to really answer about how you see money, your relationship. Start with that awareness first, then carry on from there.
Yeah,
I like it. Finances.
And for me, it is also like, and I talk so much about pursuing my passions, right? Whether it's emceeing, whether it's cocktails and all that. But I think at some point of time, if you feel that you don't have that financial foundation, it's very difficult to say, hey, go and pursue your
There's
dream.
No freedom. No freedom 就很难 alive.
So if you come in your 40s and you have no freedom to do the things that you want, then it's going to be a bit difficult.
Yeah.
And hopefully you have done that in your 20s and your 30s, which is why I think the advice here is make sure that you are doing your financial planning and do all of that. Make sure you are, saving. Because when it comes to the 40s, guess what? I'm already starting to plan for my retirement and save for my retirement. And because I've got all this in place, then you can start thinking about, okay, what do I really want to do? How can I impact other people's life? So basically, you got to sort out your own shit before you want to say you want to make an impact and all that. Because if you don't sort out your own shit, then it's going to be very difficult.
And one, like finance is a super important piece. Now that I think about it, and the next one is really about your body.
I love it. Are we talking about body right now?
I'm referring to the physical state of your health, right? Like health and fitness. This is something that I I must mention, because as much as it's important to have that financial freedom to make sure that you can spend and do the things and get the things you want, how about also thinking about that physical freedom, whereby you're free to do certain things, you're free to travel, and I'm not even talking about physical freedom at age 40. How about when you are, remember we talked about us already halfway through in our life, what is your expectation of your physical mobility when you are 70 or 80 years old? If you want to be able to carry your grandchildren, carry your own luggage and travel at the age of 70, 80, we need to start the work today. So not tomorrow, but today.
Yes, and I have a little story to share here. So this just happened. 是今年吗？今年 early this year. So I brought my parents out to so me and my partner, we brought our parents out together to Bangkok for a trip, like a 3-day 2-night or 4-day 3-night trip. So you know how if you have visited Bangkok or you frequent Bangkok, you know that some of the train stations,
a lot of staircase.
And I think something that didn't dawn on me in Singapore, we always have escalators, we always have lifts, right?
We take for granted.
Yeah, we take it for granted, but it's not always the case in Bangkok. So I realized that we travel, because traffic is quite bad, right? Usually we take the BTS, and then I realized that my mom had such serious pain in her knee, and that was the moment I realized how bad it was when she was coming. So again, coming down is more difficult than going up. Going up, she didn't need that much assistance. When she was coming down, she was holding onto the handrail by the side, one arm on the handrail, the other arm she was holding onto my shoulder, my elbow, and then every single step that she took, you can tell that it's excruciating, it's painful. And then already she's wearing one of those shoes that's quite padded.
And how old is your mother?
My mom is 等一下我算一下哈，我43再加21 64 Yeah, my mom is 64 this year, so
still relatively quite young.
Still relatively young, yeah. But it really dawned on me that the trip, because I realized, hey, do I want to be at the stage where I can earn all the money I want right now.
Yeah.
But if there comes a point where I travel and I need to, and I need assistance when I walk, or I got, high cholesterol and I cannot eat some of the amazing food that's offered out there, or my body is quite weak and I cannot take the extreme cold, for example. Or my legs are so weak I cannot climb up the mountain, I cannot go to UNESCO site because my legs can't take me there.
Can't even walk down a BTS staircase, for example, normal
so
staircase.
This huge realization that, hey, I mean, I can have all the money I want, but when I'm at that stage, am I able to do all that? Am I able to enjoy a good quality of life? And if I'm not able to, then today I need to rethink the lifestyle choices I have.
And I must point a very good book here that I'm reading this book right now.
Okay.
The name of the book is called Outlive, and it's
Outlive. Got it. Okay.
So it's by this longevity expert. He's a doctor and he's now into longevity. His name is Peter Attia, I think Attia.
Right.
What he's talking about is not only it is important to prolong our lifespan, like literally our life expectancy, but having this, so his mission and purpose is to get people to prepare to get a quality aging.
Yes,
so he called
I
it
love that.
he called it a health span. So you have a long lifespan, but what's the point of living to 80 years old? But the last 10 or 15 years, you are on a wheelchair.
Agreed.
So that quality of life. So in order to have a quality of aging, which in this case is lifespan, we need to start the work today.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of things great stuff that he has shared in the book.
Totally.
I will also put it into the show notes.
Yeah.
And then even if you don't read the book, it's fine. Go and follow his Instagram.
Yeah, that's
He's
great.
like, wow, there's all these statistics that throws you off that
That's
you'll
really
be
good
so
advice.
shocked.
That's really good advice. Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. Right?
Yeah.
When I talk about my mom, the way I talk about her is I have so much compassion and love for my mom. I know she has done so much to bring us up. But it's just that I really wish that somebody that at maybe in her 30s or 40s, somebody would have given her really good advice about her health and all that. Because you know how
Like
it
this
is.
podcast, huh?
Yeah, like because it's always easier to fix it when you are going through it.
Yeah.
But when you've gone through that stage and you are in your 50s and 60s, a lot of things is no longer preventive. Yeah, it is about solving the symptoms.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be too late.
Yeah.
But if preventive measures can be taken earlier,
Preventative.
like
exactly.
I wish nothing but the best for my mom. I wish that she could healthily enjoy a lot of these things, which is why for me it's such a good stark reminder that we all need to live our best lives, but we need to do something today. Today, yeah. And if physical fitness is one of those things, don't think that you can pick it up at 50 or 60.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but it's so much harder.
And please don't take for granted with the strength that you have now. Your ability to carry the luggage today, your 15 kg luggage. I'm sorry, if you can only carry 15 kg luggage, at 60 years old, you need somebody to carry for you.
Exactly.
This is real.
Exactly. Because your body goes through deterioration, like how you use your car after a certain number of years, you need repairs. It's all the same thing, right? So which is why just now at the beginning we said maintenance and upkeep is very important.
Yes.
很重要, okay? Yeah.
So that's why 40s we talk about is being curated, careful, intentional. So like let's be intentional about our financial.
Yes.
Let's be intentional about our physical fitness, and then we get to enjoy everything else.
Totally.
Like how we are doing it.
Yeah. And last thing I want to talk about 40s is noticing about quality aging, right? I want to have end kind of this podcast with two words. 心态.
Wow. It's
心态
like
很
mindset.
重要, yes.
Mindset. Ooh.
Mindset. Can we translate it as mindset?
是吧?
Your outlook, your
Yes.
mindset in
Mindset,
life,
yeah.
right? It's
心态.
very, very important. Like if you want to make sure that you are, aging well and you are enjoying your life, your mindset, your 心态很重要. Because if you're always thinking that your attitude is like 40s is my downhill of my life,
That's it.
That's it. The best years of my life are over. Then you'll really be in that stage. And I think if that's a relationship you have with yourself in your 40s or your 50s, you need to start changing that, man. Because that's not serving you well, and that's not going to help you. That's not going to help you live a very quality life in your 40s and beyond.
And I think to even because like mindset is like it's not easy for everyone to know. What's my mindset? My mindset is okay, ma. I'm doing this. I'm doing. I'm a director of so and so and blah blah blah. But I think to really be aware of what your mindset is and whether is it serving you for the rest of the next 30 years that you're gonna go. I think just ask yourself this question, right? Are you happy with the way things are?
What a good question.
That's it. Just ask this, just one question, and apply it overall. Don't get too specific on what is your title, how much money you have in your bank.
Don't start taking a measuring guide and then my salary from 1 to 10. Don't overthink it. Just answer yourself honestly and truthfully.
Are you
Yes.
happy with the way things are going on
Yes.
for you? That's it.
Exactly. And if not, you can always change.
Yeah, then start to ask yourself, why am I not happy? What am I holding on to?
Yes.
Start with that.
Yes.
Wow.
And you can always make a difference today. You
Yes,
can do something
now,
different.
now. Okay,
非常好，
quotes.
好 quote。
我先吧。
啊，那会有来，哎，我们很难说服我了。OK，讲完了。OK，来
这
quote，
集有点长，I think
有一点长一点点
I think
，but it's
好一点哦。
OK。哎，我们 talk about 20, 30, 40
是是
了，OK 了，
是是是
可以了。
是
来，你讲。
Okay, so today
Your
I have a quotation. I have a quote. No,
有 quotation，你要 PO number。
a quote.
来，
It goes like this. Don't be attached to who you are in the present, that you don't give the future version of you a chance.
Don't be so fixated on who you are right
Yes.
now and think you cannot change.
Yes, and not even be fixated about who you used to be in the past. Because it's time to let go and give the future version of yourself a chance.
It's time to let go.
You
I
can
love it.
you can create a difference.
You can make a difference. Yeah, you can change. You can let go, and you can always have a choice about who you are, who you can be in the future.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this quote is by a keynote speaker, Vinh Giang. So it's somebody that I'm following right now. He speaks super well, and I really like it a lot.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, very good.
Your turn.
Okay, my turn. So my quote. Okay, so it's a very cheeky quote, and I think it will speak to a lot of people because it's about relationships. So, the quote is: if you're not happy single, you won't be happy married. Happiness comes from dogs, not relationships.
Wow.
I'll say again,
Yeah.
If you're not happy, okay, and this is a very very frivolous quote, but it's one of those quotes from IG lah. So I actually have like a little highlight that I save some of these quotes. So again, I'll say it. If you're not happy single, you won't be happy married. Happiness comes from dogs, not relationships. And why I want to talk about this because I think you talk about our relationships, you talk about finances and all that. I think one thing that I always believe in is you really need to be happy with who you are as a person. Yeah. And don't
Whether or not you're single or married, right?
whether or not you're single or married, and don't expect to find and hinge your happiness on another person.
Wow.
Because one, it's not fair to yourself. Two, it's not fair to the other person. Yeah. And if you truly want happiness, go and get a dog. Yeah. And please adopt if you can. Like me, I adopted a dog. Give the dog as much love as you can because you realize that nobody in the world can ever match the love and affection from a dog. Because in a dog's eyes, you are the entire world. Yeah, and all dog owners out there, if you're listening to me, you know what I'm talking about.
We do have an episode about dogs.
I
我们要
love
讲那个
that.
dogs 跟孩子的嘛
对
remember?
对
Yeah.
Dogs and kids.
Yeah.
好 kids and fur kids.
Yeah, kids and fur
Okay,
kids.
can we need to have an episode about parenting and parenting.
Yes. I like it. Parenting
Okay.
and parenting.
Excellent.
Okay, so we are. 我们又忘记讲我们是谁了。
我们是谁？哎呀，我们就知道了。我是Jeremy.
I'm Maddy, and we are the
Imperfect Rainbow.
and we'll see you next week for our last episode.
Oh yes,
of the
our last
season.
episode. Okay, hope you're excited to hear our final episode of our very first
Yeah.
limited series.
All right.
Okay,
thank
see you.
Bye.
Bye.